Hey guys, it's Ty with Ty the Dog Guy on the Daily, and I want to talk about a certain way to create mindset with a dog. And so, mindset, I talk about it a lot, because it's really important for, when the mindset is right, getting the correct behavior is like laughably easy. But the problem is, where most people struggle is getting that mindset in the right place. And so, they're wanting the dog to sit or lie down or come or stop being aggressive or whatever. But the dog is so amped up, has so much adrenaline, so much is going on with that dog that that they're just not getting there. And so like I say, creating the right mindset. If we've got a dog that's calm, like anybody can get a dog to sit or lie down or come or heel if the dog is calm. Would you agree? I think most people would agree with that. But it's creating that mindset that gets you there. And so like I say, it's so important for folks to understand that, but most folks start from, 1 or 2 steps in. They say, I want the dog to sit, I want the dog to do this, but they haven't created that mindset. So I was reminded of this today as I was working with a client. We're at their house, and, walking in, the dog's just hyper, and she's jumping, and she's barking, and she's overexcited, and she's crazy. We've only done 1 session. This is our 2nd session. And to be honest, the owner admitted not having done her homework from the 1st session. But anyway, so the dog is not in a good state of mind. And so the owner's frustrated, like, she's jumping. I want her to just go lie in her bed. I want her to do this. So, I just want her to be calm. And so the owner's frustrated, rightfully so. But all we did was correct even just a little bit. And so we used the e-collar. Use the e-collar. 2 or 3 tiny corrections. I think we're on level 6, so level 6 is tiny, but it was enough to just kind of create a pattern interrupt. It wasn't even a whole lot of a correction. It was just simply like, it was as if someone like flicked you on the shoulder, like, hey, pay attention. So did that a couple of times as she was jumping, as she was barking, and suddenly, she's not jumping and barking. And so the concept I often try to get across is calmness is a learned skill. And oftentimes, calmness is simply the absence of craziness. And so when I came in the room, craziness was already there. It was existing. She was exhibiting it. She was acting crazy. She was barking and jumping all over the place. So when we take away crazy and say, all right, you're not allowed, or the manifestation of crazy, and in this case say, okay, you can't jump, you can't bark, so what are you going to do? And so dogs, they aren't stupid, and so the dog's choice is to adapt or not. So not adapting would be to simply continue to try barking and jumping and what have you. But we didn't let, obviously we wouldn't let that occur. We would correct that and say, no, you can't do that. And so like I say, the dog can choose to not adapt. But in reality, when the correction's there and the dog recognizes that it doesn't work to do those things, the only thing left to do is to adapt. And so adaptation, when we take away the manifestation of a crazy mindset, adaptation almost always brings us to calmness. And so literally 2, 3, maybe 4 corrections on a very low level, and suddenly the dog's just sitting there, hanging out, casually wandering over here, went to her bed, went and got a drink. And the owner was like, oh my gosh, how does this happen? How can I make this happen every time? Because when visitors come over, the dog's crazy. She's all over the place. And again, it's very simple. If we take away the ability to act foolish, the only thing left is to act calm and sane. Because, that's it, right? There could be like lesser degrees of foolish, but in reality, we're not going to allow those either. So when we say there's no foolishness allowed at this moment, so the only thing left is to not be foolish, and what that looks like is the dog that's calm and in a good state of mind, and that's what the owner wanted in the first place, and that's of course what we want to create with any dog. And so like I say, in order to create that mindset, we had to go after the manifestation of the bad mindset, the crazy, wild, hyper mindset, and say, okay, here's your mindset. It's creating this physical manifestation, this physical behavior. You can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. All right, what do we got? We've got calmness. And so the reason why I like this concept and this principle so much is because it takes so little for the dog. It was just a tiny bit of a correction, nothing more than, like I say, a flick on the shoulder for your kid that's like, hey, pay attention, the guy's talking, or hey, pay attention, we're working on homework right now, or whatever. That's all it took. But within 20 seconds, we had a dog whose mindset was changed, and she was ready to learn. She was in a position where she could learn. It's not always that easy. Sometimes the distractions are bigger, and it's harder to create that mindset. But the concept is always that easy. Sometimes, like I say, it might create a little bit more work, but it's always easy to understand. If we can just take away the dog's ability to manifest like a goofball, we start getting a dog who's calm and happier.